In recent months, Mexico has found itself once again at the center of geopolitical tensions involving the United States as President Donald Trump escalates his confrontational rhetoric and policies toward Mexico. This comes after years of provocative remarks and unilateral actions that have often undermined the relationship between the two countries. From the infamous campaign promises to build a wall along the southern border to increasingly aggressive stances on immigration and trade, Trump's behavior has left many in Mexico questioning the U.S.'s commitment to fair partnerships. However, Mexico is not sitting idly by in the face of such disrespect. Under the leadership of President Claudia Sheinbaum, the country has taken a firm stance against Trump's belittling approach, drawing clear lines in the sand regarding what Mexico will and will not accept. Sheinbaum, known for her decisive leadership and unwavering pride in her country's sovereignty, has refused to be cowed by Trump's threats. In this video, we will explore Sheinbaum's bold moves to push back against Trump's policies, particularly in regard to the controversial immigration issues and trade relations. 1. Claudia Sheinbaum's firm stand against Trump. Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, is no stranger to the complexities of international diplomacy, and she has shown time and again that she is not one to back down when her country's dignity is at stake. In a series of statements and actions, Sheinbaum has drawn clear lines against Donald Trump's bullying tactics, emphasizing that Mexico will not be treated as a pawn in the U.S.'s political games. Her latest comments, directed at Trump's attempts to forcibly deport migrants from third-party countries, have been especially telling. Trump's administration had been making plans to deport migrants from nations like Venezuela and Guatemala, sending them not to their home countries, but to Mexico. Sheinbaum wasted no time in voicing her objection, making it clear that Mexico would not be used as a dumping ground for the United States' migrant crises. Sheinbaum said, "If you want to carry out mass deportations, you will do so by sending migrants directly to their home countries. We, as Mexico, are not just going to be used for your political charade. We are a proud nation, and we demand respect." This statement was not just a pushback against the U.S.'s treatment of migrants, but also a reaffirmation of Mexico's sovereignty and dignity in the face of an administration that has shown little regard for these principles. 2. A history of disrespect. Trump's attacks on Mexico. To understand the significance of Sheinbaum's response, it's important to look at the history of Donald Trump's treatment of Mexico. During his presidential campaign, Trump's rhetoric was infamous for being inflammatory and insulting toward Mexicans. He frequently referred to Mexican immigrants as criminals and drug dealers, a characterization that sparked outrage in both Mexico and among immigrant communities in the U.S. Furthermore, Trump's administration imposed tariffs on Mexico in an attempt to pressure the country to curb the flow of migrants to the U.S. border. These tariffs, which were framed as punitive measures for what Trump claimed was Mexico's failure to prevent illegal immigration, were another slap in the face to a nation that had long been an ally of the U.S. The most notable instance of this disrespect came in 2019, when Trump threatened to impose steep tariffs on all Mexican imports unless Mexico took drastic action to stop the flow of migrants. These tariffs would have had a devastating impact on Mexico's economy, and many saw them as a clear act of bullying. Sheinbaum's predecessor, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, negotiated with Trump to avoid these tariffs, but the underlying tension remained. Trump's continued blame game, casting Mexico as the scapegoat for problems like the opioid crisis and synthetic drug production, only worsened the relationship. Trump tried to divert attention away from U.S. domestic issues, pointing the finger at Mexico instead of addressing the systemic problems within the United States. Sheinbaum's response to this blame shifting has been clear. Mexico will no longer tolerate being unfairly accused of problems that are not of its making. 3. The role of Canada and its Conservative Party. The geopolitical dynamic involving the U.S. and Mexico has also been complicated by the reaction of Canada, particularly its conservative political figures. In Canada, politicians like Ontario Premier Doug Ford and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith have been vocal in their criticism of Mexico, especially as it relates to trade and immigration. Ford, a longtime ally of Donald Trump, made headlines when he compared the U.S. relationship with Mexico to that of a strained friendship. He was particularly critical of Mexico's position in trade talks, arguing that Mexico was not as cooperative as Canada in fostering a mutually beneficial relationship with the U.S. Ford's statements were seen by many as an endorsement of Trump's disrespectful approach, and his position has been criticized for undermining the Canadian-Mexican partnership. Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta, also took aim at Mexico in her remarks, accusing the country of not being a fair partner in the North American trade framework. She expressed concern over Mexico's growing ties with China and the potential consequences for both Canada and the U.S. if Mexico continues to align itself with China on economic and geopolitical matters. This rhetoric, often aligned with conservative voices in the U.S., further complicated the already delicate relationship between Mexico and its neighbors. In contrast to these conservative views, many Canadians have voiced support for Sheinbaum's stance. These individuals argue that Mexico should not be treated as a subordinate to the U.S. and that it is time for the North American countries to work together as equal partners, respecting each nation's sovereignty and interests. 4. The importance of cooperation and diplomacy. While the rhetoric from some Canadian conservatives may paint a picture of a zero-sum game in which Mexico must be sidelined to benefit Canada and the U.S., the reality is much more complex. The shared interests of Canada, the U.S., and Mexico go beyond political posturing and must be viewed through the lens of cooperation and diplomacy. The United States, Mexico, and Canada have worked together for decades under trade agreements like NAFTA and the USMCA, and their mutual success relies on maintaining these partnerships. Sheinbaum's approach has been to reject the divisive rhetoric coming from some corners of the conservative political establishment and to reaffirm that Mexico will only engage in relationships that are founded on respect and fairness. She believes that fostering cooperation, not confrontation, is key to ensuring the prosperity of all three nations. As the global political landscape evolves, with countries like China and Russia seeking to expand their influence, it is crucial for North American countries to stand united. Sheinbaum's response to Trump's provocations is a testament to her commitment to a more balanced and respectful relationship between the U.S. and Mexico, one where both countries benefit from mutual respect and cooperation. In conclusion, Claudia Sheinbaum's bold stance against Donald Trump's disrespectful approach to Mexico is a defining moment in the ongoing saga of North American diplomacy. By refusing to be intimidated and making it clear that Mexico will not be a pawn in Trump's political games, Sheinbaum is standing up not only for Mexico's dignity, but for the future of international relations in North America. While conservative figures in Canada may attempt to fan the flames of division, it is clear that the way forward for all three countries lies in cooperation, not confrontation. Sheinbaum's unwavering commitment to protecting Mexico's sovereignty and standing up to U.S. political bullying sends a powerful message. Mexico is not a country to be disrespected, and its people will continue to demand fair treatment on the world stage. As the geopolitical landscape shifts, it is more important than ever for Mexico, Canada, and the United States to find common ground and work together as equal partners in shaping the future of the continent.